everyone, it's Linda Ockwell-Jenner here again, President of Motivational Steps. Very excited today to have a returning guest. It's the one and only Kathryn McGarry, Mayor of Cambridge, Ontario. And Kathryn came along just after the lockdown, I think it was April, to tell us how they were all coping there with the lockdown for COVID. And I've managed to get her again today. Thank you, Kathryn. I know you're very busy.
Well, thank you, Linda. It's always a delight to be with you and on your show. I think anyone spending time in your presence knows how incredibly positive you are and how enthusiastic you are when it comes to really helping us all look after our communities. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. So when we spoke last time, I believe we were all in the lockdown and we were all wondering how the new normal would be. We're coming out of the lockdown slowly. Numbers are rising again, unfortunately, in Ontario, but Waterloo region in particular appears to be doing good. So in your line of work, working with the council and looking after small businesses and stuff like that, you must be run off your feet, Kathryn. You must be so busy.
And we are, Linda, and I really appreciate all the work that everybody has done in all levels of government, as well as all of our community, our businesses, our residents. All of us have really worked together to try and get control of this pandemic. And as you said, after lockdown, we've come out in a phased way in Waterloo region, and we've had a lot of success. I would say that here in Cambridge, when you look at the breakdown of some of the positive numbers in all 7 area municipalities that make up the region of Waterloo, Cambridge has done, now I'm touching wood when I say this, very well. We've been on, the last or second last in terms of numbers in Waterloo region. Oh. So we've done very well to sort of do the public health provisions, wearing our mask, washing our hands, physically distancing. And while we have seen some businesses that never did reopen after the lockdown, we also see a lot of businesses in our core areas, our manufacturing that may never have closed, the stores in our malls, start to reopen and welcome back customers. Cambridge Council really got together early on. I think last time we spoke about a cost containment plan that Cambridge put in place really early on. And I've been advocating along with my provincial mayors, regional chairs, to the provincial and federal governments for money to assist municipalities with operations. We were successful. We have over $3 million coming to Cambridge to assist this year as well as next budget cycle in order to make up for some of the costs that are attributed to the pandemic. I mean, the city of Cambridge is a business itself and a corporation. And I think to date, we've had costs up to $1.5 million of unbudgeted money in order to put in PPE and extra equipment to keep people safe, all of the dividers between areas of work, the fact that our parks and rec people needed to go out in individual vehicles because of physical distancing. That adds up to the municipalities, Linda. So $1.5 million on that, plus the lack of revenue coming in from our facility rentals has added up to be at least a $2 million shortfall this year just from the city.
I don't think we have any idea, do we, really?
No.
But
no.
You would be left with a shortfall if you didn't get this money.
So we've been very successful in getting some of that money to offset. So that's been a success since we last talked to you. But again, for that business side of things, Linda, we've supported our businesses throughout our economic development department. We early on had a dine from home interactive map for people that were doing only takeout. Okay. We sped up the process for our businesses to expand our patios or allow for outside tables, outside storefronts on our sidewalks where it was possible. And in the Hessler area on Saturdays, they've shut down the main street to allow for picnic tables, for businesses to come in and food trucks and, or, you know, to expand their their restaurants. And that has helped our small businesses to survive.
Have the public been open to coming along to all these initiatives that everybody's working so hard to make things better? Have the public been supportive?
They are. And there are individuals, as you know, that may feel vulnerable in their own health and won't come out. But from the most that I see, and here is the one silver lining, or at least a silver lining in the pandemic, people understand what buy local means.
Yes.
So from a business organization that started the Hey Local organization, meaning here's how you can source local products within 50 kilometers of Cambridge and how to get it shipped to you with online. So Hey Local is one of those initiatives. And others are coming out to the restaurants. They are going into shops or ordering online, and supportive of the shop from home kind of feel that our active department has done.
That's amazing. I must admit, I'm one of those vulnerable people. Also, as you know, we have a new grandson. He's 7 weeks old. So we are eating out. Thank you. We're eating out on patios and we're ordering online and we're shopping, but we don't want to do too much because we want to be able to see our grandson. So for all this hard work that you've all been working together, the council, the small businesses, economic development, you must have been putting an extra, so many extra hours in, Kathryn. You must have been working almost 24/7.
And I would say so, Linda. I think any of us that are heads of council that have been working diligently, furiously, and with extended hours on fighting the pandemic and making sure we have what we need, I would say that certainly 7 days a week, probably 12 to 15 hours a day, at least for the first few weeks of the pandemic, in order to do the planning that we needed. I was part of a regional pandemic control group, and at first we were meeting almost every day, every second day. Now we're up to sort of every 2 weeks. So there's a tremendous amount of planning that you need for all aspects of any municipality, any city.
Yeah.
We had to change laws. We had to meet virtually. We had to send people home during March when we shut down. We didn't have enough laptops or licenses to be able to function at home. So there's been a tremendous amount of work, not just from elected officials, but for all of our managers, our city manager, our deputy city manager. We've all put in extended hours because we're still keeping our critical services going in the city, which is, again, in its full-time job. And then having to do all the planning, the advocacy, coordination, collaboration to put in resources that we never thought we would have to do.
You're making me tired now. You're making me feel like I haven't done enough. I have actually watched you, the council, on TV, on Rogers. I love listening to the council, and I love the way you were all virtual, and the meetings go so well. They are so well run. Congratulations on that as well.
Thank you. That's our IT department. I give them full marks for making this magic happen because I don't have that capacity.
So this is a bit of an awkward question, but I mean, numbers are rising now in Ontario again. I believe they're up to 401. We know it's not primarily our area, but we all have to be diligent. How do you see Thanksgiving, and the run up to Christmas? How do you see that working out? Will people, do you think, shop more? Will they say, no, we don't want to shop anymore because numbers are rising? Have you got any feeling how we can gain the trust and make people feel even safer than you're doing already?
And it's a great question because as schools open, we've expanded the numbers that we can see. Businesses are opening. Our own city hall will have staff coming back in later this month. Oh. We expect numbers to rise. I would say that we are far better prepared now as the numbers are rising in order to accommodate with physical distancing, wearing of masks. The region just will likely extend the mandatory mask bylaw till the end of May. And if things happen that our numbers are low or we have a vaccine or the miracle occurs and we don't need them anymore, then we can rescind it early. Mm-hmm. But what I say to people is continue to support your local stores. If you can't get in there physically, shop online. Really manage to physically distance, even with Thanksgiving coming up, or some of the family celebrations.
Yeah.
Make sure that people still wear masks. In my family gathering recently, when I go in to look after my father who had surgery a couple of weeks ago, I wear my mask.
Yeah.
So caution still has to be taken. Schools are open. We need to prevent the lockdown. I know that our economic development departments, as well as our chambers of commerce, are very supportive of mandatory masks, because that's our first line of defense. But I say to people that continue to shop. We're reorganizing some of our events, whether it's virtual, or this year we're looking at a couple of ways to manage a Santa Claus parade.
Yay!
Generally, we've gathered and the floats go past.
Oh.
Now we're considering, let's put the floats out and we drive past them so they stay stationary.
Yeah.
And we can enjoy a physically distanced car ride with our families at a very slow speed.
That's a good idea.
We're looking at that.
Oh, that's good.
And maybe lights in the park this year where we can drive through the parks like Waterloo has done in the last few years in order to enjoy the season instead, so that we still get that joy and we can still support our local businesses and still make it a celebration, just COVID style.
So one question I want to ask you, it's a difficult question. I understand some people may have health challenges and can't wear a mask. So the word mandatory is confusing a lot of people. So does mandatory mean that if someone goes into a store, that, the store owner is able to say, please wear a mask if they don't? But then again, that puts the store owner in a difficult position. So I was walking around a very, very large store, very, very large. I'm not going to mention it. And I just don't feel happy there anymore. People wearing masks under the nose, around the throat. And I just felt so uncomfortable. I feel more comfortable in the smaller stores. But I mean, how's it working out mandatory? Are people saying, no, we don't want to wear a mask? Or is the majority saying, yeah, we want to wear a mask? Do you know?
We've just had this debate at Regional Council at Committee Day earlier this week, Linda. And I would say we had to make it mandatory because the recommendation didn't put enough masks on people's faces.
That's true.
Once it became mandatory, most people are compliant and learning that you have to cover nose, mouth, and chin for this. Yeah. There are those folks that are not going to wear them because they don't want to, and those that are vulnerable and cannot wear them. And we had that discussion again. Be kind. If somebody shows up without a mask, you should assume that they're not able to wear the mask, and continue to follow the physical distance rules. But we have to be kinder to people. But storefronts are allowed to say who they can and can't let into their store. That's really individual. So if you, as somebody that has a medical condition that doesn't allow you to wear a mask, and you go to a store and they say, no, you can't enter without a mask, that's the shop owner's prerogative. And unfortunately, they're going to, some of them, vulnerable themselves, maybe. They don't want people in their shops without it, and that's their right to do so. And that's where you take the service online. But we have to be kinder to each other and recognize that some can't wear them, but it's even more important for that individual to stay 6 feet away from others.
Definitely.
And that's where we can sort of help to curb the spread.
So do you think there's enough people wearing the masks to make sure that we can stay safe? I think it's the majority of people, isn't it, really?
It is. And I know that when we had some medical people to our public debate on this in July, when the Regional Council made a mandatory mask for the end of June, whenever it was. But the medical personnel said, even if you got 60 to 80% compliant in our community, that's 60 to 80% of people that have helped slow the spread of COVID-19 and not overwhelm our medical facilities in flu season coming up. As a nurse myself, I am hoping that with the enhanced infection control measures that people are now practicing, washing their hands, sanitizing, wearing the mask, that even influenza numbers should be reduced this year, or even just the normal cold.
Okay. So our doctor has said it's appointment only for the influenza shot, won't be till the end of October. People are saying this is not soon enough, but we've just got to be diligent. We've just got to do all the things, wash our hands, wear the mask, and keep the distance and stay at home if we need to. And I think by October, when we can all, if we want to, get the shot, I think it's going to help a lot. It's a good time for us to think about how we can give back. So I know a lot of charities have been impacted because they have a lot of events. And are the virtual events, do you think, for the charities still gaining as much support? Or do you think they've been held back because of not, because of COVID holding them back with the in-person events?
And I really miss the in-person events. I'm a hugger, and I really miss actually seeing people face to face in 3 dimensions rather than 2, Linda. I've heard both. I've heard that some organizations have had people step up. I think certainly the food bank in Cambridge and Waterloo region, they've had sometimes an increase in donations, probably fewer donations of actual food. Mm-hmm. However, there are other organizations that have seen quite a drop in what's being donated. I talked to somebody last evening about the Terry Fox run that's coming up this weekend. I've done a virtual greeting with a Terry Fox shirt on for this event that's virtual. And they said they're about on par this year with online donations compared to in-person donations last year from the actual run. Okay. But there are, the United Way of Waterloo region sort of got a number of groups together to sort of put everything in one big bundle and then filter out some of those donations to organizations that weren't getting them. There's an increase in domestic violence calls, Linda, which is unfortunate.
Yes.
So women's shelters are another area. Shelters.
Yeah, it's a big problem, isn't it? And this is something your council also has to, with the other councils, take care of, don't you? And I guess it could be overwhelming for you. How do you personally cope with all of this? Because there's the sadness, there's the fear, there's the stress, there's the fact that you're working more hours. Well, I don't know, you always work a lot of hours. So how are you looking after your health, Kathryn?
My family would say not well enough. It is a struggle, I think, for anybody that is in the community when there's so much stress and fear from COVID, from all the other walks of life. What keeps me going is to sort of have a focus of where we're going to. I need to look ahead. And today, yes, there are all kinds of issues. But I look around and see phenomenal stories of people stepping up, of neighbors that only knew 1 or 2 people in their area now that knows everybody. Oh. Because now they're going door to door and say, do you need me to pick you up something at the store? And they're able to physically distance or meet each other on the street or a sidewalk chat, appropriately distanced, and help out. So those stories are inspirational to me. And I have to look a year, 5 year, 10 years down the way. Where do we want to be? We have companies that are now opening up in Cambridge because they don't want to be in the States. We saw Amazon come in.
Yay!
Yes, and Primed, who's coming from Edmonton to set up a plant that should be manufacturing PPE and surgical masks by the end of this year. So we have Eclipse, which is going to be manufacturing an N95 mask right here in Cambridge. Those stories to me are really positive, and it means that we can move ahead and look at new opportunities, new jobs for people. Economically, we're doing better than I thought we would be doing, and we're caring for each other. And that personally helps me to cope with the number of stressful situations that I hear about. I always have to keep looking ahead at what we can do better and take the inspiration for people that have a new idea, run with it, and create so much more good in the world. And it's the looking to a better world that really keeps me active and functioning.
I love that, because it could make us feel really depressed because we can't help everybody. But I've always believed this, Canada in general, but particularly, Waterloo region, we're a really giving, caring community, and we are there for each other. But I don't know what we'd do without you, because you are, I love all the mayors, but I just think you in particular are such a character in the community, and there's no way anybody could ever forget you. You do what you do because you love it. I would listen to your family a little bit, though, if I think you are overdoing it a bit. And even if it's Thanksgiving, try and have some rest. But you've left us with some wonderful, inspirational thoughts. You've left us knowing that we're in safe hands with all of you. You're all doing a great job. But in particular, I love catching up with you. One day we'll get that lunch together, which we've been planning it for so long. Last year we were in Germany, as you know, at a conference in Germany. I was celebrating my birthday there. This year's a very quiet birthday. So that's my excuse, and your excuse is you were always working too hard. So I'm planning forward. I'm planning the Small Business Community Network, which is the organisation I run with my husband. We're planning new strategies for the new year so we can help even more people. The Motivational Steps, my business consulting. I lost clients. I also, lost clients, but then I offered my help to those clients if they wanted to keep going, complimentary, because if we can't give back in this day and age, what's the point, Kathryn? That's what I feel. What is the point? So I think we like each other because we're very alike, and we think of the future, we think of other people. But I've decided I'm going shopping on Sunday, and I'm going to buy some fall clothes, because that's a good way, isn't it, to support local and also think of the future.
And I think so. And of course, you've got a grandson to dress up for as well. But I also wanted to thank you for what you do in the community as well. We all depend on each other. It takes a village to raise not just a child, but each other up. And I think that you and your organization, and again, your sunny disposition, really does help to bring joy to people and recognize that we're all stressed from this. This has been a difficult time. But let's work together and see what else we can do to assist all of us in getting ahead. So I really appreciate what you've done for our community too.
Well, thank you, my angel. And I know you're dashing off to probably another meeting. So we'll say goodbye, but I'm sure we're going to be doing this after Christmas to make sure that we're on the straight and narrow and we're moving forward even more. So have a lovely Thanksgiving.
That's right.
Okay?